What's going on, everybody? It's me, DeoGenZ, and it's time to play some Pokemon Crystal. On the last episode of this walkthrough, we traveled via the SS Aqua to get to Kanto, specifically Vermilion City's port. Oh, great. This lummox is in the way. And we don't have a Pokeflute on us, so looks like we're going to have to do something first in Kanto. And that is, take on the gym leader! What's really cool about the gym leaders here, as opposed to having to verse them when you first fought them in red, blue, and yellow, is that any hazard, like LT Surge's switch tricks, they're gone. You can go right to the Surge himself and bypass all the trainers pretty much. But we're not going to do that. As a strategist, I don't recommend that you skip any experience points. I want you to remember that there's no Versus Seeker in this game. The only way that you're going to be getting additional experience is by racking up a large phone book. But we all know just by Dana Lass and how often she calls with useless information, how obnoxious, just purely obnoxious this method of training can be. So grab your free experience while you can, because if you're looking to go back and train up some other members of your team that were a little bit weakened, it's going to be a more infuriating, phone-ringing, off-the-hook experience. I suppose that once you get your Pokemon to the level that you wanted, if you were going to go that route, that you could eventually just delete their number, and then I don't think they would call you back again, which is nice. It's a shame when they made Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they didn't think to keep that in. I don't know why they didn't have a put your phone on silent option. I can understand maybe with Crystal, Gold, and Silver, you know, cell phones are still a very new concept, so why would you ever want the player to have the ability to shut them off? No, everybody loves cell phones, but now we have good cell phones that have silent on them, or vibrate. Not that it's really going to have a vibrate, because DS doesn't have a rumble pack, but still, something to that extent could have been done. So Lieutenant Surge is an interesting character if you look into more than just the video games. I recently reread the first, the first series of Pokemon Adventures, where Red is going through his journey and trying to stop Team Rocket from capturing Mew. And guess who was a part of Team Rocket? Lieutenant Surge. Yeah, he's not just a warrior out on the battlefield, as we'll soon hear from himself, but he also was a traitor, a deceitful, power-hungry traitor who sought to steal Pokemon and transport them via the Vermilion City SS Anne, because back then, that's what it was. He took tons of Pokemon, and then when Red came on board, he ended up zapping him. But thankfully, Red had his trusty gloves that he snatched from Lieutenant Surge, the first encounter that he had with him, and he did a reversal of sorts on Lieutenant Surge. And I believe the way that end battle went was he was defeated by his own Zapdos. So that was pretty extreme. But that was really interesting for me back then. I mean, yeah, I reread it now out of nostalgia, and because it was a good manga. I like the manga stories much better than the anime, 1000%. But when I was younger and first reading that, my mind was blown. I had no idea that gym leaders could be evil. I thought that gym leaders were there as sort of role models of a town. You know, what's the best thing of this town? Oh, go check out the gym. The gym is amazing. The training there is tough, but fair, and everyone's compassionate for their Pokemon, and the gym leader is a great guy or girl. But no, not Lieutenant Surge. He's a douchebag. And in fact, the next town over, there is another one who joined Team Rocket during the manga. That's what's really cool about having different avenues for animation and telling your story. Obviously, not every storyteller has this option of doing a manga and an anime and a video game, but especially if you do a video game, you can take it on different tangents. I mean, you want to look at a different tangent completely altogether that has nothing to do with the way that our Pokeball ensnaring lives have had with the main RPG, you could check out Conquest. I was recording that the other day for Planet Poke, And it was funny, we came up to Motonari, and he was talking about how in a far-off, distant land, they hear that they capture Pokemon in Pokeballs. Well, you know, he didn't call them Pokeballs, he said, in these little balls, and carry them around with them. So strange, because in the land of the Ransei region, Pokemon, you know, there's only one Pokemon at a time that can walk around with you, and that you have the best link with. So it's pretty interesting. The games really give you a chance to branch out into other stories that you haven't even thought of before. Look at an element of RPG that we've been running into all the time, the Rangers. Get to see what their life is all about. Makes you think twice when you ever come across another one of them. Although I haven't seen a Pokemon Ranger since, I think, Sapphire or Emerald, you know, the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald generation, 3rd gen. I have not seen any Rangers come about in this game. Maybe they just weren't there back then. And it was at about the end time of Emerald where the DS was coming in and knew that Ranger did come about. So the Pokemon that you want to bring in this game, you know, let's focus on what we're doing here. I've been going on about some random other stuff, other storylines, but in this one, in your epic hero story here, you're going to want to bring ground Pokemon. If you haven't trained a ground Pokemon, that's quite alright. As you can see, there's plenty of pokes that learn Earthquake, which is super strong. It's probably the best move to use in this instance. And bring up backup too. You know, I also have Chabaka, and he has a dig. I have to hand it to you. You're very smart. You're not very smart to challenge me, but it takes guts. When it comes to electric Pokemon, I'm number 1. I've never lost on the battlefield. I'll zap you just like I did my enemies in war. Well, I guess Red, not being on a battlefield, being trapped on the Vermilion City ship, he had a one-up on you there, huh? Because you certainly didn't beat him back then. And you won't beat me now! I apologize to anyone who is not a fan of sweeping, but at this point in the game, I really just want to get it done. Truthfully, this LP has gone on, this walkthrough has gone on longer than I intended, and a lot of it had to do with me moving, a lot of it had to do with the past situation I was in for recording, but now that we are on a roll, I am not stopping, and I will happily sweep up the competition. And with the Kanto saga, I think honestly you really would love to do that, whoever you are, because you've gone through all these trials and tribulations with your Pokemon, defeated the Elite Four, and now you have a post-league adventure to take on where you have to fight additional gym leaders. You want to show your strength. But what I recommend, you'll notice that the past regular trainers we fought in Lieutenant Surge's gym, they weren't as high level as we were. So take this opportunity to raise up any members of your team that were lacking when you went to the Elite Four. Maybe you decided not to do a training montage before you went in. And in that case, you're going to need a little extra boost of power, especially when taking on these Kanto gym leaders, because trust me, they are tough. I know we're mopping the floor here with Lieutenant Surge's electric types, but it really emphasizes the importance of bringing the right move. If we didn't, we'd have to whittle it down with fire moves and then actually take damage. Imagine that. He hasn't even gotten an attack out on us yet. Typhlosion is super fast. And I'm actually surprised that Typhlosion went before the Electrodes, because Electrode at this generation is supposed to be the speediest poke. Very strange. Yeah, we're not going to need Swift. I think Swift doesn't really become useful until the 3rd gen, when there's double battles and you could hit 2 pokes at once. But we've already got a stronger and more efficient move in terms of hidden power moves, or hidden moves that will actually help us outside of battle. Strength. I believe it has 90 base power. I don't think that changed in the 2nd gen. I thought it stayed 90 all the way through, but correct me if I'm wrong. I really don't check the stats on every single move. And as you may forget, like I sometimes do, Magneton does not float, especially in this game because there's no abilities. He does not have Levitate, nor does he ever gain that ability. I never understood why. He was certainly a floating Pokemon anytime you saw him in the anime. Anyway, we got our badge here. So it's pretty easy. You just have to come here with Dig or Earthquake, and Lieutenant Surge will bow down to your battling prowess. And now we can continue on in our Kanto expedition. Screw your tree! We're surf cutting this. And before we leave Vermilion City, because we went by this place in a flash of an eye, a flash of an episode, I want to locate the Pokemon fan club and its chairman. Because back in the red, blue, and yellow days, you were able to get a bike voucher, which then you could go get a bicycle from the bike shop over in Vermilion City. But since we already got our bike from Rydell back in Goldenrod, I'm curious as to what he'll give us, if anything. Oh boy, I hope he doesn't bore us with another one of his long-winded Rapidash stories. Oh, that's a cool Pokemon statue in the center. I never noticed that, but that's an Arcanine. I don't know why I never noticed, but... when it comes to Pokemon, did you just visit to hear a story about my Pokemon? Good, then listen up. So my favorite is... Oh, here we go again. Rapidash. Cute, smart. Undeniably. Okay. Just going on with a lot of words that describe Rapidash. Cool. Yay, adjectives. Well, hey, if anybody is having to write a paper and they're at a loss for words, talk to the chairman of the Pokemon fan club. They'll tell you some positive adjectives to throw in there. Oh, only a rare candy? That's fine. It's not like we really had to do work to talk to this guy. I thought it was far too easy to get the bike back then, but now it's just a rare candy. So that's cool. And in the next episode, we are going to head north to Saffron City to take on another gym leader.